In this video, we are going to walk through how to create and send invoices through DJ Planning Center. This includes creating invoice templates, setting up payment integration, and managing all of your invoices in a single location. Let's dive in. To start using invoices, you will need to set up your preferred payment methods. You can do this by going to the Setup page and clicking on Invoices and Payments. There are two types of payment methods you can enable. The first one is connecting a Stripe account so that you can accept credit cards or bank transfers directly through DJ Planning Center. This is the most integrated option that allows your clients to make a payment directly from an invoice. These payments are automatically recorded in the system when they are processed. To connect a Stripe account, simply select the Connect button. After you verify your country and currency, you will be directed to an onboarding page that will walk you through the process. If you have an existing Stripe account, you can log in and follow the instructions to connect your account to DJ Planning Center. If you do not have an existing account, you will have the opportunity to create one. Once you have followed all the steps, you should be redirected back to the Setup page where you will see a Connected status in the Stripe section. If you see a status that indicates your setup is still processing, you might have to log into your Stripe dashboard to finish onboarding or wait a little longer for everything to process. The second type of payment method you can add is a manual payment. This is useful if you would like to collect payments in other ways that are outside of DJ Planning Center. Some examples include cash, check, Venmo, Zelle, or Square. When adding a manual payment method, you can give it a name and enter instructions for how your client should proceed with the payment. You can also include an optional link if you would like to direct your clients to a third-party website. You can add as many manual payments as you would like, or remove them entirely if you only want to process payments through Stripe. All of these payment methods will be available as options when creating an invoice. Each individual invoice can be customized to show some or all of these payment methods. Now that we have set up our payment methods, let's talk about invoice templates. This is where you can set default values for invoices that you might generate on a regular basis. We'll take a look at this template and walk through each section. The Notes section is where you can set default notes that appear under the line items on an invoice. This is where you can thank your client for doing business with you or anything else you would like to communicate. Moving down, you can choose whether or not the client is presented with an option to leave you a tip. When this is selected, there will be a step in the payment flow that allows the client to select from pre-calculated amounts, enter a custom amount, or skip the step entirely. The next section unlocks a lot of potential. This is where you can optionally enable a payment schedule to set up installments. For example, if you require a certain amount for a retainer, you can set a payment to be due a few days after the invoice is created and then have the balance due a certain amount of days before the event. When creating a payment, you can choose between a fixed amount, a percentage of the invoice total, or the holding fee you have assigned to the event. The due date can be set to the issue date of the invoice, the event date, or a custom calculation of your choosing. You also have the option of enabling payment reminders. This example shows a reminder being sent 3 days before the due date, one on the day the payment is due, and then a follow-up reminder if the payment is past due for 3 days. Each one of these reminders would be sent for every payment in your payment schedule. Once the client makes the payment, any outstanding reminders for that payment will be canceled. The last section allows you to customize which payment methods are shown as options for this specific invoice. All of the payment methods you have configured for your account will show here. Now that our template is created, let's look at how we can use this to easily create an invoice for an event. To start the process, navigate to an event, select the Documents tab, and click Create Invoice in the Invoices section. This is where you can optionally select one of the templates you created. If you would like to create an invoice from scratch, simply leave this field blank. Next, select the client who is responsible for billing and click Continue. If you selected a template, the invoice will pre-populate with your default values. All you have to do is review the document and make any adjustments if necessary. Starting at the top, you can customize the invoice ID, the issue date, and the person responsible for billing. The line items are automatically populated based on all of the packages and add-ons that have been assigned to the event. You can drag and drop them to rearrange their order, or remove specific items if you want to bill for them at a later time. After customizing the notes that are displayed on the invoice and whether or not your client should have the option to leave you a tip, you can move down to verify your payment schedule. calculations will be made based on the selections in your template. For example, if you selected one of your payments to be due 3 days after the issue date, the date will be calculated for you. If the calculation results in a date that is in the past, you will see the date display in red and be prompted to adjust your payment schedule accordingly. If you decide to turn on payment reminders, you can configure them here. Once again, this list of reminders will be sent for each payment in your payment schedule. Once a payment is made, any outstanding reminders for that payment will be canceled. The last section will allow you to select the payment methods that are enabled for this invoice. If one of the options involves a manual payment method that has a third-party link configured, you can optionally override the link specifically for this invoice. Once you are happy with your changes, select the Next button to save and preview the invoice. This is a sample of what the client will see. They will have the option to download a PDF, pay the invoice, and see their payment schedule if it's enabled. Once you have confirmed everything looks good, you can move on to the next step of sending the invoice. Confirm who the invoice should be sent to, and optionally copy other people as well by selecting the clients on the event or typing in an email address manually. You can choose to send the email or copy a link if you want to send the invoice using another method. Both of these actions will mark the invoice as sent and allow the client to start accessing it. Once an invoice is created, it will be accessible in the Documents tab of an event, as well as the main Invoices page. This page is where you can manage all of your account's invoices in a single location. You can filter your invoices by status or search for a specific one if needed. Selecting an invoice will take you to a detailed view that gives you more information. Here you can view the line items, any payments that have been made, the payment schedule, and the automatic reminders you have set. The options displayed in the Actions menu will vary based on the status of the invoice. For example, you can only edit an invoice if the status is either draft or sent. Once a payment has been made, the invoice is locked and can no longer be modified to keep the integrity of the invoice. Now, let's take a look at what the client will see when they receive the invoice. After clicking on the link in their email, they can see the invoice, download a PDF version if needed, and view their payment schedule. When selecting the Pay Now button, they will be taken to the payment flow. If you have a payment schedule enabled, they will see all of the available payments. The payment that is due next will be selected by default. However, they will have the option to select future payments as well if they would like to pay ahead of time. If you have tips enabled, they will have the option to select a pre-calculated amount, choose a custom amount, or skip this step entirely. If you do not have tips enabled, this step will not display. The next step will show all of the payment methods you have configured for this invoice. If credit card is selected, they will see the option to enter their credit card information as the final step. Once they submit their payment, a few things will occur. A confirmation email will be sent to both you and the client, and the payment will be recorded on the invoice automatically. The invoice status will also update to either partially paid or paid, depending on the payment amount. If the client selects a manual payment method that has a link configured, they will see your instructions and a Continue button that will navigate them to your link. If they select a manual payment that does not have a link configured, they will see your instructions and be prompted to send you a message to let you know their payment is on the way. When they click the button on either of these manual payment methods, you will receive an email notification and a pending payment will be added to the invoice. This is strategically designed to make the process a little easier for you when adding a manual payment. If we go to the detailed view of the invoice, you will see this pending payment at the top. Once you have received the payment, you can simply click the Confirm button, verify the details, and optionally send the client a payment confirmation email. This will mark the payment as complete and officially apply it to the invoice. If the client does not select the button during the final step of the invoice to generate a pending payment, you can always record the payment manually once you receive it. In the Payments section, click Add Payment and fill in the details. You can select between choosing a scheduled payment or adding a custom amount. It's very important to associate a manual payment with a scheduled payment, if at all possible. This will keep the integrity of the invoice and allow the client to continue using the payment schedule. Once a custom payment is added to an invoice, the payment schedule can no longer be used. The client will only have the option to pay the remaining balance when viewing the invoice again. As you can see, invoices are living documents. Multiple payments can be made towards the same invoice until it is paid in full. Clients will be able to access this invoice within their client portal and make payments at any time. In addition to the website, you can also create and manage invoices within the mobile app. Simply navigate to the Document section of an event and select an invoice to view all available options. When creating or editing invoices, the app experience is laid out in steps to make it easier to navigate on a mobile device. You can apply a template and tap through the steps to make customizations. After the invoice is created, you can preview it to make sure everything looks correct. Tapping the Next button will allow you to send an email with the invoice or share a link through the options on your phone. This wraps up our overview of invoices and payments. I hope this gives you a better understanding of how you can set up your account and send invoices to your clients. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.